Yep.
Yep, perfect. Great.
Let's get started.
All right.
I call the regular meeting of the Board of Trustees, Sylvania Township, to order. Today is June 7th at 5 p.m.
Call the roll. Mr. Genowine.
Here.
Mr. Mahoney here. Mr. Randall.
Here.
Simcoe here.
Rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The chair will make a motion to approve the regular meeting minutes of May 17th.
Second.
Mr. Randall.
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney. Yes. Mr. Genowine.
Yes.
Any deletions or changes to the agenda?
I have none.
Okay. The only people signed up to speak are for items on the agenda, so I'll call on them when we get to those items. First is the zoning department. Harold?
Good evening. The first item of many is the public hearing for the zone change request at 4885 Alexis Road. As you recall, this was presented May 3rd, I believe it was, and was tabled until this evening's meeting. If you like, I can go over the staff report again, or if you have any questions on the staff report.
I think we'll just, you don't have anything?
And the applicant.
Open up the hearing.
I'm sorry?
We'll just open up the hearing. We heard the presentation the last time. I think we've got a couple of people here.
Yeah, and the applicant is here as well.
Okay.
Great.
We'll call on the applicant first. Mr. Habib, is it? Okay.
You want me to state my name for the record?
Yes.
My name is Fahad Abed. Address is 6511 Cedar Ridge, Toledo, Ohio 43615. I'm sorry for not being here last time. I got confused with the dates. It was on the 3rd, and I thought it was on the 13th, so it was, my fault. I'm sorry. And the county sent me a letter, and it went to the wrong address, so I didn't get a notice in the mail for that. So I'm sorry again. However, I don't know what happened exactly last time I was here. I'm sure the neighbors kind of stated their concerns about zone change. But I just want to let you know that we did have a neighborhood meeting, me and the neighbors, and they also came up with their concerns and so forth. And I am sensitive to their concerns, and I am willing to kind of do whatever it takes to kind of make them happy. After all, they're going to be dealing with me for a long time if everything went okay. And they are more important to me than the tenants or the people who are going to live in there, because the tenants may come and go, but the neighbors are always going to be there. However, one of their main concern is the density in the 12 units. I was proposing to put 3-bedroom units, 12 units in the 2 lots. Just for the record, there's 2 lots in there, and I own both of them. One of them is already zoned multi-unit. I'm trying to kind of get the other one to be zoned also multi-unit. Now it's single-family home, to be able to put a 12-unit. And my proposal, as you see from the site plan, is to put like a little driveway in the middle of them and 6 units to this side, 6 units to this side. And my original plan put in 3 bedrooms, and just to kind of, after I met with the neighbors, they had concern about the density and the number of people who are going to live in those small areas, I guess. So I was willing to go to a 2-bedroom units. It'll be easier to manage and also easier to rent, and the rent will be cheaper, and I won't have any, hopefully, a higher rate of vacancy and so forth. And they also were concerned about, instead of renting, maybe I could tell them, I am very much open to the idea. Before I was just want to hold them and rent them and put it on a portfolio like that, but I am very much open also to be able maybe build them and sell them. So each person who live in an apartment will be able to own their own apartment, and they take care of it, or as a landlord or as an owner of an apartment. We did talk. Some of them said concern about the apartment being in the backyard and so forth, and I agreed to put a fence, very nice privacy fence around the 2 lots, and also put a lot of trees to kind of buffer out, and so they won't be able to see much of the condos, I guess, and I know a few of the neighbors, they kind of like the idea of putting still the residential properties in there other than commercial properties and so forth. So the only thing, they just want to make sure that I don't screw them or put something in there will make their houses go down in value, and I assure them it's not going to happen like this. Do you have any questions?
Sure. We'll start. John, do you?
I really don't
I
have
have one. Did you say they're rental units, but they'll be like owners? I didn't quite follow that.
The first 2 hearings, I was going to kind of put 12 units in there and put them for rent them, okay? But I am very well much open to the idea of, instead of renting them, just selling them and be homeowners instead, because their concern is a rental people, they might trash the place, don't take care of the yards, or they don't take care of the property and so forth. Owners will take care of their own property better than a tenant will. Did I answer your question, sir?
Yes. Well, I think now you're considering, will these be like condos then?
Yes, it will be 2-bedroom condos with a couple of bathrooms and an attached garage to them.
And are you the developer?
Yes, I am.
Did you have anything, Neil?
Not yet.
Yeah, why don't we let the
All right.
opposed speak, and then might have questions for both of them after that.
I think it's Deb Condon. Deb?
Thank you, by the way.
My name is Deb Condon. I live at 4914 South Arvilla, which is directly behind one of the lots in question. The first thing that I would like to say is I'm out in my yard a lot working, and over the last 2 months I've had many neighbors stop and talk to me about the proposed changes. They're also concerned about the businesses, I guess, to the west of this property and their effect on the homes in the neighborhood. And at one of the meetings, I know we were told, well, that was commercial to begin with. Well, but we were residential to begin with, too. And I think those commercial properties need to take into account that they have families living behind them. So that's number one. Our main concern is we don't want commercial. These two pieces of property are surrounded, literally, on both sides by houses. Even on Alexis Road on the other side, it is houses, and of course, behind it is houses. So we don't want it commercial June 6, 2016, or we don't want it commercial a year from now. I want to make that pretty clear. Our concern was rental properties versus having someone be a property owner and actually have a investment in our neighborhood. Again, this is truly a neighborhood. I mean, you see people walking, biking, walking their dogs, you name it. It's full of people. It's full of kids also. And our concern was how many units were going in there. You know, I don't want to say that we're against condos going in there. Hopefully that will help the value of our property. But we want to know what is going to go in there. You know, what the proposed plans are. And again, you know, Mr. Abed mentioned a fence and trees and all that. That's good if it gets done. And, you know, I guess maybe a question that I have is what will our recourse be if things are done not the way they were supposed to be done? But again, commercial is, you know, we don't want that to be a commercial property, okay? But, you know, nice condos, you know, that's good.
Thank you. Do you have any comments?
You know, I've been curious kind of from the start. And Darrell, why didn't you kind of push this along the PUD route? Because it certainly would have addressed the majority of the concerns of the residents. It sounds like they're kind of in agreement with what could go there or should go there. But I think the comfort level is, and that's kind of why I think our community has pushed for PUDs in the past, so the residents around them know them, and we have some reports if they don't fulfill those promises. And I think, you know, certainly on the western edges, you know, there were a lot of lessons learned out there, and I was just curious as to why we didn't kind of push them in that direction out of the gate.
Well, the application was for an R3, not for a PUD. The first we heard of these concerns was at the Lucas County Plan Commission, so the process was already started. The fees were already paid. You know, at that point, Mr. Abid would have been out, you know, the money if he had just dropped and gone back to applying for a PUD. He would have to go back to square one. You know, reapply, submit the plans, pay the fees all over again. So,
what's your timing on this, Mr. B?
You know, the only reason about the PUD thing is it limits me with the number of units I put in the lots. Okay, I think last time.
It shouldn't.
No, it shouldn't.
There is a limit on the number of units I put in there. Okay, I think the only thing I could do is like I think it's either 4 or 6 for that one for the PUD instead. Right? So I need to do something, you know, somewhere between 10 to 12 minutes. So the PUD is not going to work.
Well, we will have site plan control. That's why what is your timing?
Well, you know, I was hoping I'd get a result today, so I could start with that because engineering and blueprints, and it takes a long time, you know.
Or won't there be a site plan review and approval, Darrell? I'm addressing fencing and
Fencing.
Screening.
Mrs. Conda's comment about screening and trees.
Yes. I agree with the fencing. I have no problem with the fencing. And, you know, I know she's probably saying, I'm just saying this. I say whatever it takes to kind of get this passed. But I'm not that kind of person. And, you know, there is fencing there already. But what I was planning is putting new, nice looking privacy fence and also put more trees around it. So
No, I get that. I think the difference is if we had a PUD plan, if something were to happen to you, that would control could be on the site. For another use where now, if we approve this, our only control is the site plan. You know, if for some reason you didn't develop there, then we got to look at our zoning requirements. That's why we tabled this the last time, I think, is to see who the developer was and what kind of controls we have. I don't think we can do, John, I don't think we can do zoning subject to a condition, right?
Well, we just changed the zoning.
Yeah, so our only control will be the zoning at this time. We'll have site plan review, but, okay, I think I got it. I don't know. Do you have any other questions?
Darren, what's the question on the PUD?
I'm sorry?
What the PUD?
If he goes for an R3 PUD, it allows 7 units per acre. It's 1.2 acres, so he could have 8 units as an R3 PUD. If he were to go for an R4 PUD, it's 8.7 units per acre, so that would be, 9 or 10 units. And yes, it would have to go through project plan review. Any new multifamily development would go through project plan review. And all the issues such as landscaping, parking, curb cuts, things like that would be addressed.
Mr. Ahmed, I prior to being an elected official, I was on the Sylvania Zoning Commission for 6 years. And we learned, I get a little nervous about this because we've approved projects in our area that were R3, and if somebody came up to you tomorrow and said, hey, I'd like to double your property because I've got the double the price, or, it's free market, so I get it, that the property, you can certainly sell it for more than, or less than what you paid for it or what you want to put into it. But what we have found is some zoning areas in the township that we wouldn't approve a particular zone, and then they came back at a later date and changed the zone, did something totally different. So that's why we bring up the conversation for PUD. I'm not overly against this project by any means. I just think there's based on the property and where it's sitting back in that neighborhood, I just have an issue with making it a good plan and being dedicated to that site. Not that you wouldn't be, because I know you look very trustworthy. I believe you, but I think it would be. I think we would need a little bit of, and I don't like government controlling anything. Believe me, I don't like that at all. But when we're dealing with zone change and on a busy street like Alexis and then into a neighborhood, I just get a little nervous about making sure we got the right one and the only and the right project going in there. So I would love for you to come back with a PUD. I know it's a little extra money up front, but we've seen a lot of great projects come through that process as opposed to somebody changing in a zone change, and then before you know it, it's something else 5 years from now and something else from you, and then these guys have got a commercial property in their backyard.
This is what I can say, okay? I'm not interested in putting home day or any like I don't know what else this industry will allow or anything, okay? This one thing is what I need to kind of put in there is at least 10 to 12 units in there to be able to kind of justify the cost of bringing the sewer into the site, okay? The PUD will allow me to put only like up to 8 units, you said?
An R3 PUD would be 8 units, and R4 would be 10 units. Would allow 10 units.
Yeah, it's kind of a quandary. I mean, this sounds, while we don't have controls, this sounds like it could work out for the neighborhood. But sounds like it's going to take 12 units to make it fiscally possible. I'm not sure it sounds like you would do a PUD if you could get 12 units.
If you could bless me today with 12 units PUD, I'll do that.
Yeah, I don't know how we make that happen. I don't think we can do a conditional we either have to grant the zoning or not grant it. What bothers me somewhat is our zoning board voted to deny this. I don't know the conversation that went on at the zoning. Did you listen to
I
it?
did, yes.
Was it the number of units or the PUD?
Yes, and the other was and again, it's all about timing here, but we are in the process of redoing our land use plan. And they were, it's a 7-year-old, it's a 9-year plan. What we want to do with Alexis Road's a hot button for what they want to see for development in the future. And they're like, you know what? It seems like a lot of units on the property. We don't have any control. And again, I hate saying the word control because I hate that word, but they just were like, we'd love to see him come back with PUD. And that was the discussion, the overriding discussion I heard on
No,
minutes.
and I get that, but I think it's got to be feasible too.
Yeah.
Is there a big sewer extension here? Or?
Yeah, we have to come up from across 5 properties on the other side of the street and also bring it to this side of the street underground. So it's going to be costly, And if just to do 8 units, it's not going to work for me. 10 units might not even work, And I agreed to go from 3 bedroom each unit from $1,500 a month to 2 bedroom and $1,300 a month, to be able to kind of justify that cost.
And from my recollection, you did meet with the neighbors, and
Yes, I did meet
I
with
think
them.
the last meeting
A
they,
few of the neighbors, they gave me their blessing somehow,
well, I just think they want to be sure that you'll deliver on your promises. And I don't think there's any way we could grant you that and not follow our regulations. It's a tough decision. I think I'll close the hearing unless there's other comments that anyone wants to bring up, and we'll go to the resolution. Any other comments? Neil?
No.
John?
No.
Any comments, Mr. Heath?
No.
Anything? Yes, sir.
Did you say $200 a month?
1,500, I think.
15 if they were 3 bedroom, but I decided to go down to 2 bedroom to make it like 13.
See, we have no control to change that either.
No, we don't. But,
Yeah,
sir,
that's-
before you go, can you give us your name and address here? Okay, we'll close the
Just
hearing.
one last thing, because John brought up a really good comment. And we don't even have control. If you wanted to make it 4 bedrooms, if you want, it's great of you to say 2 bedrooms. Again, we're kind of in a hot spot because, believe me, I trust you, but I can't. You could say 5 bedrooms per unit. You're saying, that's what I was trying to say. Is there any way we work this with a PUD, or could you make them 3 bedrooms by making it a PUD? Could you go another story up to the top? R3 allows you to go 2 stories. Is that something you may want to consider? I don't know. But I guess we'll close the vote. So
Yeah, I think if we just keep talking or repeating,
Yeah.
I think we all understand the issue. So we'll close the hearing, and we'll take the resolution to authorize approval of the zone change.
Second.
I didn't,
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought
but I'll
you
do
made
that to
Okay.
get it on. I'll make the resolution to authorize the approval of the zone change. And is there a second?
second.
Okay.
Call the roll, Mr. Crandall.
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney.
No.
Oh, Mr. Genowine.
I'm going to abstain. I have a conflict of interest that I think might impact so I'm going to abstain on this one.
All right. So it doesn't pass.
Right. Does not pass.
We
1
need
to
a
1 vote.
majority pass, so it's 1-to-1 vote. All right, next item. Darrell?
Next item I have is the public hearing for the text amendment change regarding Article 31, signs and advertisement. This is the monument sign proposed change. The current zoning regulation allows monument signs to be no closer than 15 feet to the right-of-way and no higher than 5 feet from the ground. You have in front of you the proposed changes to that zoning resolution, or I'm sorry, Article 31. And we're asking for this change because we've had various BZA variances on this. We've had a lot of developers and business owners that are looking for some flexibility with signs so that, can they have a higher sign if they build it farther back from the right-of-way, or some that want it closer to the right-of-way. We have about the strictest monument sign regulations in the area. And also we want to encourage the use of monument signs over pole signs as much as possible.
I think we sent this to the Plan Commission.
Right.
Received their comments and our zoning Board of Appeals, correct?
Correct.
Is there anybody here to speak in favor of this change? Is there anyone here to speak opposed to it? All right, I think we'll close the hearing and move on to the resolution.
I'll offer Resolution 16072 to approve of the text amendment change regarding Article 31.
Second?
Call the roll, Mr. Genoway?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
Thank you. My next item is a discussion of an exception to Resolution 9801060. As you know, Yark BMW is in the process of constructing a new dealership at 7600 Central Avenue, and they wish to not construct a pedestrian sidewalk along Trotter Road on the rear side of the parcel. In 1998, the Board of Trustees passed Resolution 9801060, requiring all new developments or redevelopments within the township to have sidewalks. And Mr. Parker is here as well, representing Yark BMW.
Mr. Parker? Thank you.
Yes, for the record, I'm Jerry Parker, attorney for Yark. We're obviously very pleased to bring a 29,000 square foot new dealership to this location with all its intended economic benefits for the township. Without belaboring the point and not getting on my soapbox, we have received absolutely no financial incentives to be at this location despite all of my efforts. So what I'm proposing to you tonight is a waiver of these sidewalks because there are no sidewalks across the street on Trotter. There will probably never be any sidewalks across the street on Trotter. And if we put these sidewalks in, they will go absolutely nowhere. They will connect to nothing because there's a residence next to us that you can see on the aerial. It's a very substantial residence, somewhere in the vicinity of 100 to 150,000. I doubt very seriously if that will be gone anytime soon. I guess I understand the township's situation with respect to these sidewalks, and I do understand that there's one at the corner along Trotter on the south side. That use, however, does generate a lot of traffic, both pedestrian and vehicle, in and out of that, if you've been there, in and out of those bays, so that cars actually come out of the bay onto Trotter going in a westerly direction. I hand you the site plan because this particular use, there will never be a customer on Trotter Avenue or Trotter Road. That, as you see, it's all going to be fronted towards Central. there will be no pedestrian traffic from the dealership going to Trotter. There's no reason to. And I understand the township's position on this, but in thinking about it as a compromise, I would ask that the trustees permit us not to put in the sidewalks until sidewalks are extended to our property from the east. There's no sense to put them in now. They don't go anywhere. And what I would ask the township is we would agree that once, if and when sidewalks are extended to our property from the east, we would install those sidewalks. I don't think that's ever going to happen for a long time. But as I said, it makes no sense to put them in now.
Darrell, to your knowledge, have we ever waived this requirement before? Since the history that you've been here.
No, we haven't. This is the first
Requirement goes back along.
Right. This is the first we've had this request, and we weren't even really sure how to handle it because it's not in the zoning resolution, so the BZA can't grant a variance. So consulting with Mr. Burrell on that, he felt that the only way was for Mr. Parker to come before the trustees, and then if the trustees would decide to do this, then he would write up a resolution, I guess, for the next meeting to be authorized.
Darrell, what did we do with the sidewalk that was on Centennial and Central for the NRZ group, the gas station there?
They were required to put in sidewalks if
Not
they
along
ever.
Central Avenue, though.
I'd have to look at it, but I believe yes,
Okay.
both.
Maybe they
both
were there.
streets.
Okay, I stand corrected.
Well,
if I'm wrong.
that didn't get built, did it?
Right,
No,
they
It
haven't.
was part of the plan.
Oh, okay, but I mean, it never,
And I have the larger site plans if it's.
So you're going to have a sidewalk along Central, though, right, Jerry?
Yeah, we put yes, we have no objection to those.
Yeah.
I guess
and
I'm
you're willing
not.
to put a sidewalk in at a later date.
Yeah, I'm not. I guess I'm modifying my request. I'm not technically asking for a waiver. I'm asking for a waiver of the time to install them.
what kind of time frame?
I would say when the property is developed from the east, when they put their sidewalks into our property, we'll put ours in.
So that'd be forever then, I guess.
Well, I don't know when they're going to put them in. The point is, there's nobody going to use these sidewalks. They're useless. We're not going to have any pedestrian traffic back. This is a little bit of an unusual situation in that all of our traffic in the front of this building, front central, where people will be coming in and going to the dealership. The back is simply a security gate. There's no customers going to be coming into Trotter or from Trotter to this site.
I would also think if there's further development here, it would be to the west, because you've got 3 homes to the east there. I mean, somebody'd be spending a lot of money to develop here, but I could see maybe development to the west.
But we own the property to the west, immediately adjacent to the west. But as I said, there's no sidewalks across
No,
the street.
I get that part of it here. And while that is residential, the future land use plan calls for that to be all commercial in this area. I think we all.
I rezoned all of it
Oh,
many years ago, both south and north of Trotter. My only point is, all I'm asking for is a delay of the installation of the sidewalks until the sidewalks are extended at our property from the east.
could you agree that either to the east or to the west?
I would
You've
like
got
to.
control of that.
I do, but I would like to have it so it connects somewhere. I mean,
Yeah,
it's still going to be sitting out there in no man's land.
yeah. I mean, that's a sizable chunk to make somebody put in a sidewalk that doesn't go anywhere. I mean, how difficult is to change this to give them the variance?
That's always the argument, though. The other approach would be, I don't know, if the property owners would agree to maintain it, maybe we should look at connecting it. That'd be another approach. We've never done that, I don't think.
I can't imagine those homeowners would want people walking across their
No.
property to Yark BMW either, so,
It only invites them to traverse their property.
yeah. I think if somebody does buy that out for an office building or something at a later date, like then it would make sense for us to make them put a sidewalk in and then come back and have them put one in at that time. And again, I think that'd be a nice site for an office building. I mean, there's a lot of veterinarian hospitals in that area and some things, so I could see someday somebody taking that out and putting
Oh, I
something in
could
there.
too.
And,
I
at
think
that
it'll
time,
be
if they were
way
comfortable, I think it'd be a reasonable request.
So what do we need to do then? Do we need to put this out for a resolution next month or the next meeting?
Well, I think we
Take a
should
vote
give,
on it?
we ought to give them the direction.
Yeah.
If we think the waiver's a good idea,
I'm a little concerned from a legal standpoint of carving out an exemption for one property. If the reasons that Mr. Parker has given for not putting in the sidewalk are reasons that the trustee thinks are good reasons, then maybe the trustees should revise the sidewalk resolution to incorporate those objective factors so that every property owner could benefit from the same thing. I guess I'm a little uncomfortable taking, next week someone coming in and having another reason and we give a waiver or whatever you want to call it for that purpose. I think we'd be better off, again, if these reasons you believe are good reasons, incorporating them into the resolution, having them apply township-wide, not just to one property.
well,
How long would that take us? Can you guys do that in a month or?
Oh, certainly in a month. I'm thinking whether we can do it by next meeting. I'm trying to do it by next meeting.
why don't we table it to the next meeting? Ask the administration to come back with and our zoning department a recommendation.
Well, we'll come back with a resolution.
Have
We'll come back.
Well,
get
yeah,
Daryl.
we'd actually be revising a resolution
We
back
amend the
in
resolution.
1998.
Right. We would amending a resolution.
Do we
That
have
makes sense to me,
consensus
yeah.
there?
Yeah, and if anybody has concerns, tell Daryl or
Sure.
All right.
John Zeitler and get with them. And
I don't think besides Central Avenue and Centennial, this is the only one we've ever discussed about a sidewalk in a long time.
Yeah.
It doesn't come up very often.
No, it does not.
Yeah, I think the administration could come up with some wording.
Yeah.
It might be the length of the connection or something, and that way we're treating
Yeah. The fact that no pedestrian traffic would be generated from the back of the building onto Trotter.
Yeah.
So there's nobody's going, that's not a way that's going to be used. Situations like that.
yeah,
And the other thing, we're in a residential area, but we all know the future calls for it to be commercial, so
yeah.
that's a factor here too. All right, that's what we'll do. John, will you get back to us?
Yeah, we'll try to do it in 2 weeks, but no longer than a month.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay.
Thank you, Jerry.
Thanks, Jerry.
Thank you.
Is that acceptable? I guess. Archer?
So do we need a motion to table this? To the next
No, it wasn't. It
meeting?
was just discussion. There was no resolution.
It's just discussion.
We'll handle, we have referred it back to the administration.
You're back up.
I'm only halfway. My next item is Resolution 16071, resolution to authorize Township Administration to enter into negotiations on the update to the Sylvania Township Land Use Plan. We had interviews with 3 firms for the Land Use Plan. We got it down to a first choice and a backup choice. Our first choice is Reveille, working with Manic Smith Group, and we'd like to go into negotiations with them for the update to the land use plan.
Also, Reveille has contacted Tom Lemon to be a sub to this team. And myself, Mr. Zeitler, and Daryl, along with our zoning and chair and vice chair, were the selection committee. We conducted the interviews, we advertised for proposals. Now, the next step would be we would enter into negotiations in a time frame, and then we'll come back to the board. And then we'll know how long it'll take us and what the cost would be.
Can I get an outline, because I wasn't in those meetings, just kind of look at what they're doing and kind of the scope of price range? Again, just to see.
We didn't do that part, but we have evaluation of the summaries. We'll get you
Okay.
what our scores were, and then we did the interviews and we evaluated the interviews.
I'm comfortable with that firm. You know, I just was more curious as to the scope and the price, and so once what they start to develop, maybe just kind of send out, put in your reports. That'd be great.
The procedure is to go through your interviews, and it's not supposed to be price control. So we went through the proposals, scope of services, and then we did the interviews, and now we'll be getting the price. And if we can't reach what we think is satisfactory with the first firm, we'll go to the second firm, and then we'll bring you back a recommendation.
Okay.
With time frame.
Sounds good. I'll offer Resolution 16-071, authorize negotiations on land use plan update.
Second.
Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Crandall?
Yes. You're still on there.
Yeah, I know. Only two more. My next item is Resolution 16073, authorize approval of abatement of debris. This is the property at 5840 Stewart Road. There was a fire there in March, I believe it was, and the debris is still on the property. Mike's Hauling has been contracted to remove the debris, but at this point it's still there. I just went out this afternoon to check, so I would like to have this abatement authorization in place so that if in the next day or so there isn't any
contract
activity.
with Mike's? Or did
No, I'm sorry, the property owner.
Okay. Okay.
I'll offer Resolution 16073 to authorize approval of abatement of debris.
Second.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
Thank you. And my last item, Resolution 16074, authorization to approve high grass / debris abatements. Those four properties you see there.
I'll offer Resolution 16-074, authorize to approve high grass debris abatements.
Second.
As listed.
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
Thank you. And that's all I have.
Thanks.
Next is the road department, and there's no report tonight.
Anybody have any questions? Steve here is representative.
Items for the road department.
Steve, you have anything to say? No. Okay.
We can really hear.
This is where we catch up.
Yeah, Steve, let's really hear this. Come on up. Let's really hear this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Really how the department's going.
Any questions for the fire department?
Do you have anything?
Any
Nope.
questions or items for discussion for the police department?
Chief, do you have anything? Nothing? That's up
Now
to
we're to the
the administrator. And the first resolution, I'm going to have Susan address.
Let's see. We have before you Resolution 16070 to authorize the execution of safety township contracts. This is something that the police department does every year. It's my understanding that this year, because of the low enrollment, they're only doing a morning session. So this authorizes each individual contract with the teacher, head teacher, teachers, and aides. There'll be individual contracts.
16070, authorize execution of safety township contracts.
Second?
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
Thank you.
Chief, I was wondering on that. I noticed the city also has a safety program. Have we ever considered combining the two?
Not to my knowledge. There was actually the week before, and talking to community affairs, especially Officer fair check, there was some thought that that's why our numbers were pretty low, because the city has one right before us.
Would there
That's
be
never
any,
been errors. I mean, it's, I can't think of any drawback off the top of my head. But to my knowledge, it's never been discussed in my
I just wondered if it might be better to do it jointly. I don't know if, I don't know that there would be cost savings, but it just seems like they do a program, the next week we do a program. I don't know, would you mind checking into that
Yeah, I can
next year? Don't change anything this year, but maybe it's something we ought to.
Yeah, because we have all our applications in and such for this year.
Yeah, thank you.
Next item is a resolution 16075, authorization to make amendments to the purchasing policy. I worked with Vicki and Scott on this. I looked at our purchasing policy, which hasn't been changed in years. And there was actually some changes in the ORC that I want to incorporate in the policy, and there was a couple things we could delete from the policy. We also looked at the dollar amounts necessary for certain bids and for then and now certificates and so forth. So this is, I would call it a housekeeping policy that brings it more in line with, brings it in line with the ORC, plus it makes it more efficient for the township to purchase items but still keep the controls that we want when the items are over a certain dollar amount. I sent this policy to you last Friday. The changes were in red, so if there's any questions, just let me know.
I thought it looked pretty good. I don't know if you had a chance to.
Looks good to me.
This is something we asked of the
Right.
administration earlier this year.
Right.
Yeah.
I appreciate you getting back to us on that, John. I'll move resolution 16075, authorize the amendment to our purchase order and purchasing policy.
Second? Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
And my last resolution is approval of street lighting petition. We received a petition for Eagle Creek Plat 4, and it's been submitted by the Moses, is it Schlattner Group. And we accepted the petition, and we are setting a public hearing for June 7th at 5 o'clock. So if not, we can do the resolution authorizing it. Actually, the date, the public hearing was that's the wrong, I'm sorry, that's the wrong
We're
date.
not having a hearing.
It was 2 meetings ago. No, I think we had the, well, that's, no, this is actually the resolution approving the street lighting petition.
Right, did we have a hearing before?
This is the hearing?
This is a hearing? Oh, did we notify anybody?
I don't do street lighting, but
This goes through another
I thought we
employee.
were accepting it.
That's what I thought too. Let's be on the safe side and have a hearing today, and then pass it at the next meeting.
We open up to the, is that what it?
I tell you, yeah, you want to do
Well, maybe
that?
the date.
I tell you what, let's. Susan said she's going to quickly look at it. Let's go on with hold this for right now and go on with the rest of the agenda, and she can come back. I thought this was the actual approval of the petition. I think she's going to check on the
I thought
dates.
it was we're accepting the petition, but I didn't catch we were setting the hearing tonight. Sorry about that. Okay, let's move on to the fiscal officer. Dave?
There's nothing.
Good. Is there any open discussion, John? Anything? Nobody signed up. So
Nobody signed up?
I don't
So no.
think so. All right. Any questions on either John's report or my report?
Thank you for doing it.
Yeah.
No problem. All right. There's nobody signed up for non-agenda items, so we'll move to executive session. I'll move to go into executive session for personnel, investigation of complaints, police department, and for pending litigation in our zoning department at 5:50.
Will we address the lighting when we get
When we
there?
come out, yeah.
Okay.
I did it.
Second.
Mr. Genoway?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Crandall?
Yeah.
Oh, and that lady said he's coming back with the PUD.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Oh,
Good.
Yeah.
I think they were happy
Yeah.
with that
Yeah.
resolution
Well,
as
yeah.
well.
That's
If
the lady. That lady
If he
goes-
can make it work with 10
Yeah,
units.
that's what she said. He's coming back with 10 units and he's doing a PUD. It was really
Perfect.
nice.
That's what I wondered. That seemed like that would work. He
Yeah.
said he could 10 to 12,
Yeah.
and you know.
We'll
it
give
might
you
be
10.
good.
I just hope they don't.
That
like
addresses
it.
the density as
I
well.
know. Well, they could.
They'll all
But I
be-
don't think this guy's going to do it, though. You know, he does that'd be great.
Like an acre and a half.
How are we doing?
Good. It times out because the system times out when it's been a
There's
and then it has to combine.
sewer across the street.
So is it on? Ready or?
It's starting. Okay, we're good.
I'll make a motion to come out of executive session at 7:08.
Second?
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes,
Mr.
here.
Crandall?
Yes.
Mr. Genoway?
Yes.
I have a public hearing for street lighting for Eagle Creek Plat 4. This was advertised for tonight, June 7th. I'd like to open up the hearing to see if anybody would like to speak for or against the petition.
Okay, is there anyone here to speak for the petition? Nobody? Nobody opposed? Hearing's closed.
Okay, I have Resolution 16076, which is the approval of the street lighting petition for Eagle Creek Plat 4.
I'll move resolution 16076. Approve street lighting petition.
Second?
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Genoway?
Yes.
I'll move to adjourn.
Second?
7:08?
7:09.
9, sorry.
Mr. Genoway?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Crandall?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Guys.